Getting my first remote job changed my life. I went from spending my 20s living in the hometown I grew up in and working there to finally escaping and traveling and seeing the world and doing a road trip across the whole USA for over 2 years. In this video, I want to talk about some advice on how you can get a remote job that lets you do what you want, whether that is travel like I do, or just work from home, spend more time with your family. I'm currently here in Warsaw, Poland, and traveling. So I figured it'd be nice to do this video and show you around rather than just from my desk. Okay, so let's just get into, I'm going to give you a quick table of contents on what we're going to cover, and then we'll get into the advice. So we're going to cover my story, my travel story about how I got here. We're going to cover some career tips in terms of job applications, networking, portfolio building, and skill set developments. And of course, we're going to cover basically AI and how that's basically changed the game so that you're not actually going to be essentially applying the same tips that might have worked a couple years ago, because AI and the return from COVID as well has kind of changed the scene. So let's just get into it. So here's my story in a nutshell. It's a long story, but I'm going to keep this very concise. Basically, I was born and raised in the USA in a small suburb town area, and there really wasn't much going on in that area, and it was all right, but it was kind of slow paced and boring. I always loved travel, and I loved the idea of traveling the world, but that dream just kind of died, even though I would follow a lot of travel bloggers and influencers and see them travel through Philippines and Bali and all this stuff, because I couldn't get into a college outside of my state in the US, and then I couldn't really get a job outside of that area after college. So after university, I basically got a job in digital marketing after doing some soul searching, because at first I wanted to do some work in med school and become a doctor, but I realized this wasn't really the dream for me after I graduated. So after about a year and a half of soul searching and working in food and dining and a lot of job applying, I got an in-person job in digital marketing. What ended up happening was this was really a blessing in disguise for me, because what ended up happening was this helped me cut my teeth and get the skill sets I needed for the next 5 years to basically level up and get higher paying and more benefits driven, remote friendly jobs. So at the time I wasn't sure what to expect, but I was at a point where I hit a routine where I just kind of almost accepted my fate, and I was content, not delighted or happy, but content, just expecting to live the rest of my life in my hometown. But then COVID happened and the company went remote. We weren't traveling, we just worked from home, which we could have done anyways, but before COVID, the company was very stingy upon that. And then about 2 years into COVID, I really just felt like I had hit a plateau at that company, and they were very stingy with any type of salary raises. So I started researching and applying to jobs and networking, and that's when I got my next job, which more than doubled my salary. And by the way, it's remote first. I was like, oh, that's a nice perk. And I was like, oh wait, so you're telling me I can work and travel at the same time? And now I had the income to do it, because before, even if I had the remote workplace ability, I wasn't making much money, so I couldn't even afford to. But now I could do it. So the rest is history. I traveled across the USA and did a road trip, living in Airbnbs as I drove across national parks for, I would say, almost 3 years. And then I settled down in one place for about 2 years, Las Vegas, and just took a break from traveling, and I got the itch again. And for the last several months, I've been traveling all around the world, Asia mostly, Southeast Asia, East Asia, and then now I've been all over Europe. I was just in Greece, and then before that, Italy, and so on and so forth. This is not to brag, but it is really to show you what is possible with all this travel stuff and remote work. So let's get into the facts. How do you actually do a decent job at this and actually get some results? Well, first and foremost, you need to acquire the right skill sets. With AI, a lot of the skills that were quoted maybe a year or two ago as relevant have now been almost phased out, or they're just becoming obsolete, so you shouldn't really work on them anymore. Search engine optimization, SEO is one of them. Ad optimization, media buying, I think is going to be a little bit more relevant for a while, but eventually that will also be phased out. So what am I saying? Like, don't learn these skills? I would say just de-emphasize them. They're still valuable, and it's going to take time for AI to replace these. It's going to take sometimes years. And so you got to develop these skill sets because they're going to be, phased out eventually, but there's still job postings and stuff looking for these things, and people still value them, just not as much. So what else should you focus on if those are underemphasized now? Well, there's also stuff like strategy, social media savviness, the ability to grow an audience on social media from 0 to 20,000, 100,000, a million. These are results-driven things that they care about more than hard skills. So I think nowadays, more than ever, a lot of the fluff is getting kind of filtered out. And to get your foot in the door, which is what I did to get my jobs, is essentially having those results in your toolkit. Hey, I think you can even do this even if you're starting out. You may not have much, but if you can build a social media following, even if it's a personal page from 0 to 10,000 or 5,000, that's better than most other applicants who are just listing a bunch of hard skills and the college they went to for entry-level jobs. And that's how you can get ahead. So other than skills, let's get into maybe more about the networking, because I think this is also a underemphasized area that really has led to a lot of success for many people. I've done over 100 informational interviews with different people in the marketing and business career spaces, and I was surprised that a good portion of them got their job partially due to networking. Not only did they know the right person, but they also had the skills to back it up. And these days, when hundreds of applications are being sent with one click that are built by AI and mostly just slop, and then those are being filtered and reviewed by AI and applicant tracking systems, it's all a big system where you're not even being shown to a human until you make it past the initial filtering. So to counter that, it's really good to have someone in your corner who can say, hey, this guy is really good, put his resume and job application cover letter at the top of the pile. So how exactly do you do that though when maybe you're not like that connected at all? Well, I wasn't. I was despondent at one point. I thought, man, I just didn't grow up with the connections. You either have it or you don't. This is the wrong mindset to have. What I did was I realized no one's coming to save me, and I started to network myself. I invested in a pretty expensive career course, which made me even more committed to finish it. It was Ramit Sethi's Dream Job online course program. It cost like 4 figures, but he taught me a lot about networking on LinkedIn, and it was through that networking that I got connected with another agency through LinkedIn and someone who worked there, and we had a nice informational coffee chat, and I wasn't pushy or anything. I just wanted to get to know him And through that, he felt like I was a good fit, and he referred me in to the job that really changed everything for me and helped me fulfill my dream of traveling, because he worked at that company. So had I just sent my application through the front door, it probably wouldn't have happened, and I would still be living and working where in my hometown. Okay, so there's networking. We talked about hard skills. Let's talk a bit about resumes and cover letters today. Now with AI, you can technically write and edit and review your marketing application material with ease. But it's still just a system. If you don't know how to use it or how to direct it, it's not going to pump out the best stuff. So what exactly should you put in your resume and cover letter to really make you stand out? First off, keep it concise. Keep it to 1-2 pages tops. 3, make every word earn its way on there. Make it count. Make it so that everything you say is punchy and results driven and valuable and not generic fluff. Sure, you can put and you should put keywords in there that the applicant tracking system, ATS, is scanning for and will pick up. But on top of that, a human is, once it passes that first layer, a human is going to review that. And if it's just a bunch of keywords, that's not going to stand out compared to your competitors, as if you had some results-driven, punchy headlines relevant to the job title. So first and foremost, you have to have the right keywords. If it's a social media marketing job, there should be words that are clearly very important in the job posting in your resume, like TikTok, Instagram growth, strategy, content or community management, whatever those are. But then you want to layer that in with things that really make a difference. Results. I grew this account from 0 to 109,000. I did this and it generated 346% more leads and then 215% more sales for this client I work with. And how do you get those results if you're starting out? Well, you build them. You either do work for free, you freelance, you get your own clients, or you become your own client and build your own personal brand or brands. And then another mistake people make is, I've seen a lot of people make this, myself included, once they get a job, they relax too much and they don't document any results they achieved. And then all of a sudden they find themselves needing to look for a new job and they don't have those results ready to showcase on their resume. So keep a praise file or results report of some sort, even while you're secure in your job. Okay, what about a portfolio and really building case studies? This is about going above and beyond, and this will really help you stand out. The basic concept here is most applicants do the bare minimum, but if you can do more than what's expected and over-deliver, and specifically act like you already have the job and do all the work you would do if you had that job to showcase your deliverables, that will go above and beyond. So an example would be, let's say you're applying to be a social media strategist for this brand, and before you're even hired, during the interview, you should say, oh, by the way, I created these 3 TikTok videos that took me many, many hours to edit and whatnot. And this is how I would film it. This is where I put it. These are the hashtags I would use. And watch the videos, take a look. And you may even be able to post them, depending on if the brand would accept that, on your own profile, and then get some views. And then you could, if it gets a lot of views, you can even point to that. Hey, I got 10,000 views with this video, and these are the results I can generate if I'm working for you. So it makes it super easy for the employer to go, wow, this person loves it so much and is so good that they've already gone ahead and done this for free, and I could see the results, I could see the work, it's high quality. It's an easy hire decision. Now, obviously all this stuff suggests that you have the hustle, the work, the interest to do all this, and it's not always easy. If social media editing is not your grind, it isn't for me, then maybe you try more of a different type of marketing role. There's different options. There's advertising, there's email marketing, there's social media. But you get the point there. All right, so to wrap this all up, the last big thing I want to say, the last maybe most important tip is when it comes to getting jobs in digital marketing and social media and a remote job, you have to do this one tip to really get a remote job. You might be able to get a job, but a remote job requires something extra. Ever since COVID ended, people have been coming back to the office. The supply of remote jobs has dropped a lot. There's a lot of competition, and you can't always expect it. And I tell all my coaching clients this. I have people who reach out to me who want coaching to get their first job or succeed in their first or second job so that they get even better jobs. And the biggest thing that I tell them when they're looking for a remote job is, first and foremost, where are you now? You can't expect the world on your first job. So maybe it will take you a few steps to get there, and you can't be too picky. It took me, as I said, many years. It was about like 7 years out of university before I was able to get that remote job. I don't think it would take you as long, especially with my coaching. Link is down in the description if you want to reach out. But if you do the system, it'll probably take you a fraction of that time, maybe 2 or 3 years, but it's not going to happen out of the gate. A lot of people are too entitled. They're fresh out of school. They don't have any real world experience, and they're expecting the world. You can't expect a high salary and all this stuff and to be gallivanting around the world. You have to be patient. You have to be focused. You have to be persistent. You have to have hustle and ambition. And the thing is, a lot of these people, they don't have that, or they just need some work to let that happen. And so with all of that being said, just be persistent. If you can't get it on your first job, that's fine. Build those skill sets in your entry-level role. The time I most leveled up was when I was at my marketing agency job, that entry-level job that didn't pay well, because they trained me. They taught me all these marketing skills for free during the job while working with clients across so many different industries. So that's it. Best of luck to you in your travel journey and your travels. I've traveled all over the world now. I'm so grateful, and I hope that maybe you can do the same thing one day. Reach out to me if you want some coaching. It is paid, but it is pretty affordable. And if you're not ready for that, but you want more info, join my free email newsletter. The link is down below too, where I share even more in-depth, exclusive advice to help you get your first or second job in digital marketing or data analytics and essentially succeed. That's basically what I've done. I'm a digital marketer / marketing analyst, and I'll see you in the next video.